Although there's been nothing more concrete than rumors and speculation about Yoda's return as a Force ghost in either Episode 8 or Episode 9, I believe that Yoda will not only return within the new trilogy, but that he'll return to complete his true purpose. This purpose will be to train Luke and Rey in their use of the dark side, and to understand the Force not solely as the light, but also its dark side components as well. By guiding Luke and Rey in the use of the dark side, Yoda will not only be helping to ensure a future that sees good triumph over evil, but he'll also be remedying his own failures as Grand Master of the Jedi Order, in dedicating the Jedi to only the light side, and in leaving them vulnerable to the eventual attack from the Sith and the dark side, thereby giving Yoda the redemption he deserves. So, where is the evidence that shows that Yoda still hasn't carried out his true purpose yet by helping to train Luke as a Jedi to destroy the Emperor and the Sith, and that there's still so much more that Yoda must accomplish? Before looking into the materials from the current canon, I want to quickly jump into the Legends material that exists, particularly in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, that directly relates to what I'll be discussing in regard to the current canon. Within the novelization, as Yoda realized that he couldn't defeat Darth Sidious, there was a real sense within the Jedi Master that the Jedi hadn't evolved and remained stagnant over the previous millennium, whereas the Sith had done just the opposite. The Sith had remade themselves over the same time period, and as Yoda recognized, the Jedi, inclusive of himself, weren't in a position to challenge the Dark Lord of the Sith. Staying with the novelization, after Yoda was able to escape from Coruscant after his defeat to Sidious, and upon having his first communication with Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda immediately confided in the fallen Jedi Master that this was his failure, and that he failed the Jedi. Yoda believed that he'd become too rigid and arrogant in the way that new Jedi were trained, and rather than changing like the rest of the galaxy, Yoda prevented the Jedi Order from changing. It was only then, completely defeated following Order 66, did Yoda begin to understand that he needed to expand his understanding of the Force, stating, "An infinite mystery is the Force. Much to learn there still is." Upon this realization, and in lamenting the fact that the infinite mysteries and knowledge needed to uncover the true nature of the Force would require infinite time, Qui-Gon then offered to teach Yoda how to manifest his consciousness after death. That is, how to become a Force ghost. Amazed, Yoda recognized the power that such an ability offered him, as he would still be able to have influence even after his death. Accepting Qui-Gon's knowledge, Yoda proceeded to begin his first lesson with the former Jedi Master. The important takeaway from these scenes in the Revenge of the Sith novelization is that Yoda specifically acquired the ability to become a Force ghost solely so that he could have the time to expand his knowledge about the Force. As these scenes make clear, Yoda understood that he failed by not evolving the philosophy and training of the Jedi. By having infinite time through manifesting his consciousness after death, Yoda would be able to discover the secrets of the Force that were previously unknown and potentially off-limits to the Jedi. This, achieving an understanding of the true nature of the Force, was Yoda's primary driver for learning the secrets to becoming a Force ghost, and in potentially redeeming his failures as the Order's Grandmaster. I believe that the same motivations and role for Yoda that was seen in the Revenge of the Sith novelization will also be seen within the new canon. That is, Yoda's ability to manifest his consciousness after death in Return of the Jedi will give him the ability to discover new approaches and knowledge about the Force that will then be passed along to Luke and Rey. Before we look at the canon material to see why Yoda's true purpose will be accomplished as a Force ghost, and why he'll learn to incorporate the dark side into his approach to the Force, it must first be said that the evolution of Yoda, from a philosophical point of view, that was established in the novelization of Episode 3, can't be completely dismissed even though it's legends. In a March 2014 interview, Dave Filoni, in describing the final arc from Season 6 of the Clone Wars TV series, points out that Yoda from the prequels is a very different Yoda from that seen in the original trilogy. Although much of the interview describes Yoda's evolution from this one single arc, Filoni does describe Yoda as having reached a certain point of enlightenment by the time of The Empire Strikes Back, with a clear delineation between Yoda during the Clone Wars and Yoda during his training of Luke. As described by Filoni, and as we'll see when describing the final arc from Season 6, there's a clear evolution in the character of Yoda from Episode 3 to Episode 5 that suggests that Yoda has undergone a philosophical enlightenment regarding the Force. I like this position from Filoni, and think that it does a good job of tying in the Revenge of the Sith novelization material and supporting our upcoming conclusions. But enough with the Legends material and Filoni. Let's look at the current canon evidence that strongly supports two things. First, that Yoda's true purpose will be fulfilled only after his death, while he has become a Force ghost. And second, that Yoda's approach and philosophical understanding of the Force will incorporate the dark side, whereby he can attempt to teach Luke and Rey how to find true balance between the light and dark. To understand these 2 points, we must look at the final arc of Season 6 of the Clone Wars, where Yoda learns how to become a Force ghost from the Force priestesses. Even before meeting the Force priestesses, it's necessary to start with the beginning of Yoda's journey to learning the secret to manifesting his consciousness after death, which is with his interaction with Qui-Gon. With Yoda left reeling after seeing how powerful the dark side had grown throughout the Clone War, from his visions in the Cave of Evil on Dagobah, the disembodied voice of Qui-Gon comforts his old friend by telling him that there's always hope, and proceeds to inform him about how to find the Force priestesses to begin his training under them. The wording of Qui-Gon here is crucial. He tells Yoda, "You have been chosen, as I was before you." When Yoda asks what he's been chosen for, Qui-Gon states that he will learn how to manifest his consciousness, and importantly, that dark times are ahead, and forces of light must remain. Already, Qui-Gon's words to Yoda are telling in 2 important ways. First, Yoda was chosen to be granted the gift of learning how to become a Force ghost, implying that the ability will be of crucial necessity for the role that he must carry out. And second, his ability to become a Force ghost is for the purpose of ensuring that his influence remains during the dark times of the galaxy. This coincides exactly with what the Force priestesses tell Yoda upon his first interactions with them on the Wellspring of Life. When Yoda explains that he was told that they could show him how to manifest his life after death, importantly, the priestess Sadness states, "It's impossible. He will fail with the great gift." Together with Qui-Gon's statement that Yoda was chosen, it's clear that the priestess Sadness is implying that Yoda's purpose is to do something with the great gift. That is, he's being chosen precisely to utilize the ability after his death. When the priestess Serenity tells the other priestesses that Yoda's destiny is already set, and that he is to teach one that will save the universe from a great imbalance, for this, the great gift will be his. Again, it's very clear that Yoda must use the great gift to fulfill a higher purpose, and without the ability to become a Force ghost, this purpose can't be fulfilled. Although it appears that the gift of learning to manifest his consciousness after death may have been bestowed upon Yoda by the priestesses as a gift merely for his efforts in training Luke to become a Jedi, or as a type of insurance in case Yoda dies before meeting Luke, I believe that this would be an erroneous interpretation given the wording of Qui-Gon and the Force priestesses. If Yoda's only purpose is to train Luke to defeat the Emperor and Vader, then the great gift given to him by the priestesses is utterly meaningless. He didn't need to know how to become a Force ghost in order to carry out the instruction of Luke, as all of that was done while he was still alive and prior to his death. And importantly, this would contradict Qui-Gon's words that Yoda had been chosen specifically, in that his path is one that requires him to know how to manifest his consciousness after death, and also contradicts the words of the Force priestess Sadness, in that Yoda would fail with the great gift, indicating that Yoda's work requires the ability to become a Force ghost. As Serenity makes clear, Yoda's destiny is already set, thereby indicating that there's some knowledge among the priestesses that Yoda will live to train Luke by the time of The Empire Strikes Back. But even more important in my opinion is Serenity's acknowledgement that Yoda is to teach one that will save the universe from a great imbalance, and thus the great gift will be his. Again, although this might seem as though it's referring to Yoda training Luke in the original trilogy, I believe that there's more to the line. We have to remember that although he certainly had a crucial and significant role, Luke wasn't the one who ultimately brought balance to the Force in regards to the struggle between the Sith and the Jedi. Rather, it was Anakin, through his redemption and actions in killing the Emperor. What I believe Serenity is referring to is not the imbalance in terms of Jedi and Sith, but in terms of light and dark, and the need to bring the Force back into realignment with both its light and dark components. I've discussed the concept in a handful of videos already, but I believe that Episode 8 will demonstrate Luke's attempts to find a balance between the light and dark sides of the Force. Although it isn't necessary to go into all of the evidence for our purposes here, Luke's line from the Episode 8 teaser that the balance between the light and dark is so much bigger strongly suggests that a great imbalance still exists within the galaxy, and Luke is potentially looking for a way to balance the light and dark. It's in furtherance of this balance, the one that Luke and Rey are attempting to remedy, where Yoda's purpose and his gift of the ability to become a Force ghost is required. As Serenity describes it, Yoda's ability to teach someone who will save the universe from a great imbalance is entirely conditional upon him knowing the secret of manifesting himself after death. It just doesn't make sense that Yoda would be granted the so-called great gift from the priestesses, and then at no point does it become a valuable ability for him. His chosen path never required him to become a Force ghost in the original trilogy, nor did he ever have an opportunity to fail with the gift as the Force Priestess Sadness foresaw. Fortunately, I believe that Yoda's use of the ability to become a Force ghost will present itself in Episode 8 and 9, where just as it was intended within the Legends material, Yoda will use the opportunity to continue his learning in regards to the Force to uncover its endless mysteries, and continue his philosophical evolution that was already well established between Episode 3 and Episode 5. In this way, Yoda's important gift granted to him by the priestesses of manifesting his consciousness after death will be put to a meaningful use, as his true purpose is carried out in helping Luke and Rey bring balance between the light and dark sides.